Hi, and welcome to Behind the Paddle podcast. I am Porcelain Victoria.
And I am Emily-son.
Yeah, and today we are going to talk about my lovely Parliament visit.
Yay.
Something very dear to my heart and has very much changed my outlook on a lot of things, and it has definitely changed the way that I want to support sex workers and the fact that voices do need to be heard.
Yeah, and voices make the biggest difference.
Absolutely.
Facts and figures can be ignored, but it's harder to ignore people, so...
Exactly. It's made me be like, I need to actually do some shit.
Yeah. You're doing so good.
So, right.
Cool. Do you want to kind of introduce what you were down for?
Yeah, so I was down with English Collective of Prostitutes. They are an organisation who I will quote from here so I don't get it wrong. The English Collective of Prostitutes, ECP, is a network of sex workers working both on the streets and indoors, campaigning for decriminalization and safety. They fight against being treated like criminals. They have helped sex workers win against charges of soliciting, brothel keeping, and controlling. The last two most often being used against women working for safety.
Yeah.
But we'll come back to this in a later episode. But English Collective of Prostitutes, an amazing organisation. Absolutely amazing. And they're always there if you need help or anything.
Yeah, they're a really good support resource. So they've put together a report called Proceed Without Caution.
Yes.
And it was the findings of this report that were being taken to Parliament, and they had asked you to go along to speak.
Yes. Mainly because there's sadly not that many sex workers, prostitutes mainly, who want to speak up because most are afraid.
Oh, of course. They're criminalised, so putting your face to it is a difficult thing.
Exactly.
And you should be super fucking proud of yourself that
It's
not only have you done that, but you've done that in fucking Parliament, which is a whole other ballgame. I'm so proud of you. You've done amazing.
Yeah, we went to House of Commons to talk about Proceed Without Caution, which is basically where the police are just abusing their own power. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
And the people who were there, we want to fight for decriminalization.
Yeah.
Which, again, we'll talk about in a future episode because there is so much to talk about, I feel.
it's such a big topic. And it's something that we've kind of covered bits and pieces of already, but I think this report shows why it's so important, because it's shown the impact that criminalisation currently has on people's lives.
Absolutely.
And why this fight is so important.
Yeah. When I was there, I heard so many stories, and it really opened up my mind in how it all works and how basically the government sees us.
Yeah.
Not good.
It's great. It's great. Cool. So to start off with, can you share what inspired you to speak at Parliament about your friends' experiences?
So I did a speech. I was up on the top part speaking.
That was my phone.
Okay. Speaking to so many people, and there was MPs that could come in and things like that, so everybody could come in basically. So yeah, I was talking about my friend's experience where she was working with other people in the same property for safety reasons, and one day there was a knock at the door, very loud knock, and they basically forced them their way in. They were there with like a battering ram and stuff, and
the police were.
The police were there, and they just up and arrested her. They were like, "You're running a brothel," and she was like, "What?"
Yeah.
And yeah, she spent a good few hours in the cells, and then they questioned her, and they asked all these questions about working with other women, because it always comes down to women.
Yeah.
And then it came down to like if her partner was in charge.
Yeah.
And
a man.
yeah, right. And basically they didn't do their due diligence in actually researching anything, what was happening, or if people were like being trafficked. Like there was no questions that she was asked where it was like, are you trafficked, or like are you being pimped out or something like that, where you would go, shit, there's a situation on here.
Yeah.
It was all like very
treating them as a criminal.
exactly.
Like, yeah.
It's like, why aren't they trying to get the bad guys? Why are they just getting the women who are just there trying to survive?
Yeah.
And maybe like enjoy their job and are trying to like feed their kids and get rent and things like that.
Yeah.
And it all comes down to like poverty.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Totally.
Which is another thing which, being your friend, has like well, just having other people in general has opened my mind up to, because I came from a very racist family.
Yep.
In the ways of like, oh, if you're on benefits, you're lazy, you're this, you're that.
Yeah.
And I met you, and you were just like, oh no, it's like this and this and this, and I'm like, I'm like, yeah, fair. That all makes absolute sense. And then
a background in social care really opens your eyes to like what's actually going on and who's actually to blame, which is normally the government and the police. So it's great. It's great.
But yeah, with me wanting to go down and share my friend's story, it was the cruelness of the police.
Totally.
Because they the police said things to her. And for example, when they locked her in her cell, she was like, how am I going to pay the bills and things if I can't work?
Yeah.
And the police officer was like, oh, your pockets aren't going to be so flush now, are they?
Yeah.
And it's just like, how can you be so
like callous? Like where is this like innocent until proven guilty?
Where's
mentality?
your humanity?
Exactly. Like
what the heck?
Yeah.
Like the way they treated her, it was horrendous. And that's just one person.
Yeah.
And that was so like in Scotland, so like in the Proceed Without Caution, there's a lot of talk about London.
Yeah.
And what I learned about London is like it's 10 million times worse.
Yeah.
It's insane. Once we get into it in the next episode about like statistics and stuff, it's shocking, very shocking. I mean, we're already here in Scotland trying to fight the Nordic model.
Yeah.
And it's like we don't want it to get any worse, because like I'll probably move to England.
Yeah.
If it's better.
But not
off.
London.
No, not London. Like I ain't testing my luck there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why I went down, because like it's very unjust.
Yeah. Just injustice of what's going on.
Exactly.
Like,
and
totally.
I've been doing this next month for 8 years. So I feel like I want to help. I want to try and make a change, especially here in Scotland.
Yeah.
And there's so many sex workers there in the UK. We all need to talk up.
Yeah.
Even if you're like doing phone chat, burlesque, you're
like OnlyFans.
Yeah, you're like going around to houses and you're like being nude and things and cleaning. Like, we all need to speak up. We're all in the same circle here. Once the government hits one part of us, it's only a matter of time.
It's a domino effect.
Exactly, because we already have the Online Safety Act.
Yeah.
It's already freaking hit. So we've got a few, like, we don't really want to filter down sex work.
Yeah, totally. And keep going down the road that we're on.
Yeah,
like,
making it underground as well.
Yeah. Because the frustrating part of all of this for me is like, it always comes back to, trafficking, people being forced and coerced.
And it's like, where?
But the more time the police is spending arresting people who aren't doing anything wrong is taking time and money and resources away from them actually fighting that problem.
Yeah. It's like my friend, for them to go to her property, and there was like 20 police officers.
Yeah.
Easy.
It's ridiculous.
It was like at least 6 to 10 grand.
Yeah.
At least, probably even bloody more.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
1,000,000% more. All that, if it was like battering rams and the proper like, what they called? My brains went blank.
Like the officers.
Like the
stuff.
riot police.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's more than 10 grand.
It's crazy.
Because of all the gear and everything. Like, it's a lot.
Ugh.
It's ridiculous.
It needs to stop. So that's why I went down.
Yeah.
Because we just need to properly stand up where we can
Mm-hmm.
and be like, no.
Yeah. Especially like after that had happened, when we were kind of looking into things and trying to help her and stuff, we found what the police guidance was on handling a situation like that. And it was so far away from what actually happened. Like, the guidance was that they were supposed to try and investigate, try and speak to them one-on-one rather than creating this big scene, because if there are victims of trafficking there, it's going to actually push them further away from being able to get a conviction, because they're going to scare the life out of them. Like, they just didn't follow the procedures in place. Yeah. They got overexcited and overextended and created a big mess out of what turned out to be nothing.
Yeah, it's like, I wouldn't, when we researched, not a lot in regards to like brothels and stuff goes on in Scotland. So like the police officers must have been like, oh, this is my big break.
This
is
a
like
juicy
that.
thing to get our fucking teeth into. Let's go ham.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
Yeah, it's
because
ridiculous.
Like they barricaded the roads and things like that, and like she was meant to have a client.
They shut the road in that as well.
Yeah, they shut the road.
Like, it was a full.
It was a full operation.
Yeah.
And like they took her out into the street and like took her to the van and things, hands behind the back.
Yeah.
So like they paraded her around basically. Like thank God she was like fully clothed and things. But no, they blocked off the streets. They found her client.
Yeah.
And then proceeded to ask her client multiple questions and things.
Yeah.
And nah. It's not good at all.
No.
It's really not.
A client who'd done nothing wrong, did they not arrest him as well?
Yes.
They put him in handcuffs at least, which, like, that's not illegal what he was doing.
No.
Not by any means.
If the Nordic model comes into play, then yes.
It would be. But at the moment in Scotland, that is not against any law. Like, that was unnecessary.
Yeah. So it turns out that, like, they used that basically as a fear tactic.
Yeah.
They handcuffed him and threatened him, and they were just like, were you here for sex and things like that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what are you going to achieve by doing that?
Yeah.
Like,
even if he said yes, then what difference does it make?
Exactly.
It's
because like if he says yes, it's more like, oh, he was here for sex. Like,
but that's not illegal.
Exactly.
So like that's what I mean. Like, I don't understand what the need for that was.
Yeah.
Like, there wasn't two people in that property at the time. If there was, I could understand. But they would have known that there was just her in that property.
Yeah.
So finding out that he was there for sex doesn't add to the case of like, oh, well, there was two people in the property. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just unnecessary use of force, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's ridiculous. It really is. The boner power the police have, where it's that they feel so empowered and so invincible, they can do whatever they want, and it's just like, but you're not doing protocol. You're not like actually figuring out, and actually evaluating the situation of like how to make it better in the sense of caring for the person, whether that be the client and the quote unquote like criminal. And it's like, it's the same with the whole like prison system and things, where it's like, oh, we're going to do rehabilitation, we're going to give you support and things. And it's like, we're meant to have that. with the police as well.
Yeah, they're
we
literally
don't.
supposed to be a community resource that help to keep people safe, and are literally on the wrong side of things when it comes to this
Exactly.
work, where like people are being hurt and dying and it's been ignored by the police because of their job.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other issue. We'll put a wee pin in that just now, because I feel like we could.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
could absolutely just talk.
Cool. So moving on, how has police involvement in prostitution personally affected their life and work? I feel like we've kind of covered this a little bit, but just
So
kind of aftermath.
basically, my friend, she has kids, so the police, without her knowing, contacted social services.
Yep.
Social services came around the next day, and she was obviously freaking like terrified
Yeah.
and things that they were going to take away her kid
Of
just
course.
because of her doing her work.
Yeah.
But the kids weren't around or anything like that. So thankfully, the social services that she had, they were fine. They were
Yeah.
absolutely fine about it, and they were like, "We respect your job.
Yeah.
This is your job." Everything like that.
Yeah.
So thankfully, nothing happened with that.
Yeah.
Nothing. So thank God it didn't. Because I could imagine the fear that
Totally.
she would have.
Yeah.
With like
just getting the wrong social worker on the wrong day.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. And again, in Proceed Without Caution, we'll come back to where escorts, prostitutes, whatever you want to call us, have came in contact with social services, and it hasn't ended very well at
Yeah.
all. And it really does bring a tear to your eyes.
Yeah.
Because it's not right in any way.
No.
Nobody should have the fear that doing their job means that they're going to get their kid taken away.
No.
Like if their kid has no involvement in their work,
what difference does it make?
Exactly. And the kid's being taken care of, there's clothes on the back, there's food in the fridge and things like that. Why are you taking the kid away from a safe, loving home?
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
It's just, that's not in their procedures either. You know, that's been, again, somebody in a role who's too big for their boots, making a decision based on their values rather than the procedures that are put in place.
Exactly.
And it happens too often.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, absolutely. So like me personally, like I've thankfully, so when I have came in contact with like the police and social services, so I used to work from my own property a few years ago, and neighbors saw men coming in through the back gate and stuff, and I had like a really good what I thought relationship with her, the neighbor, but she called the police. They came over while I had a client. I know. It happens. The client was absolutely fine about it though. It was lovely.
Yeah.
But the police were like, "What are you doing?" Things, and I was like, "Oh, I'm a dominatrix," and they were fine with it. Absolutely fine. So and they said, "Oh, because a child does live at this address, we'll have to contact social services, but you shouldn't need to worry or anything like that."
Yeah, totally.
So like I got good officers on a good freaking day.
Yeah, totally.
And then social work came over. They were absolutely fine. They were like, as long as your child isn't there, peachy.
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely fine.
Totally.
I've had a few run-ins with the social services, which are no fault of my own.
Yeah.
One of them was a guy who, don't want to say too much because he's a penis, but somebody in the BDSM community was just like, "Oh, I don't like you, so I'm going to call social services and tell them a lie." And it was very clear that it was a lie. So social services was like, "Sweet, chill, that's fine." And then the other one was I broke up with my partner at the time, and it was a lovely custody battle. So his one of his relatives decided to call social services because they quote unquote said they didn't know where the child was in my care.
Right.
And basically social services was fine. They were just like, right, cool. Clearly they're just grasping at straws for this custody case and stuff. So I was like, great.
Which is never a good look.
No. Yeah. So I've been very much because he also tried to use it in the court case of why I'm not a good mum.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he also tried to use it in the court case about stating that's why I'm not a good mum.
Yeah.
Because I'm a sex worker. So I have been very scrutinized in some ways. Not necessarily personally with the police.
Yeah.
But in like previous relationships and things like
that. It's
that.
good that there's been some good examples, you know,
Yeah.
of like things being handled. But I wonder, interestingly, if that situation that you had would have been different if you had said you were an escort rather than said you were a dominatrix.
Yeah.
And that was what made the difference.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why, like, sometimes, depending on who I'm talking to, I lead with, I'm a dominatrix.
Yeah.
Because they don't think that I'm a dominatrix who, like, has sex with people or anything like that.
Like, a lot of people don't see it as sex work. It's not what springs to mind when you think that.
I mean, I've heard some quote-unquote professionals say that it's not sex work as well.
Yeah.
And it's like, just because you're not having sex with somebody, we can go back to another episode, we can go back to a previous episode that we did.
Like the hierarchy. Yeah, totally. It does definitely exist, even within law enforcement. We're assuming, like, we could be wrong, they might have handled it just as well, but there is a reason why you led with it.
Exactly.
So yeah.
So yeah, I've had my fair share of people also taking advantage, because I did rent a property as well. When I was very much in need of having a property to live from, and I worked from it as well at the same time. But the landlord, he would up the rent every so often, and I was like, mate, it's a lot of money. Like, I can't be paying this.
Did he know what you were doing?
Yes.
Yeah, that's why.
Yep. So he fully took advantage of that.
Yeah.
I am a landlord myself. And I like, I'm fair in that way. Just stating that I am a landlord myself, and I like, we don't want to abolish property or anything like that. But there needs to be stricter laws when it comes to landlords.
Definitely,
I believe.
Definitely. In terms of them not taking advantage of people,
Exactly.
which you very much are not, because I would have a lot to say otherwise.
I mean, I'm undervaluing the property really because of how much I charge and things like that, because I understand that in this economy, shit's hard these days. Like,
totally.
No, I'm not gonna. No. But this comes after like having a conversation with a few people about and my experiences, where some people want to like abolish Airbnbs and like private property, and it's just like, I hold that near and dear to my heart. Thank you very much. I'm actually a good person.
Yeah.
I should hope so.
It just needs to be heavily fucking regulated.
Exactly.
Yeah. Airbnbs feels like a separate issue because they're sitting empty so much of the time that like, yeah. Anyway. We shall move on. I feel like we've kind of covered the next question, but just if there's anything you want to add. So, what are some of the biggest challenges you face as a sex worker in relation to law enforcement?
Oh, if I get sexually assaulted in any way, if 1, they would believe me. 2, if they would actually care.
Yeah.
3, if anything would actually get done. And I believe I've spoken previously where like I have been stealthed, and like where people haven't like given me the right money, or like they just straight up haven't paid me before. Especially my rookie days.
Do you want to explain what stealth is, just in case people don't know?
Stealthing is when a man, usually somebody with a penis, takes off the condom without you knowing, and then that's mainly it. Like, they can come inside of you, that's their preference in a way. But like, yeah,
which is sexual assault.
Yep.
Legally sexually assault.
Absolutely.
In Scotland, anyway.
Yeah. I don't like the fear of me being prosecuted for anything.
Yeah.
Especially because some women, and I say women, because the majority of sex workers who get prosecuted are mainly women.
Well, even the law, you know, even like the brothel keeping law, for instance, that we've kind of been discussing, is gendered.
Yep.
And it's only women that's included in it. So, like, that's why that's the case, because the law for this stuff is so old that it's gendered.
It's crazy.
It's feel like the 1800s and shit, and they've just never updated it. It's great. It's great.
It's wonderful. And like, yeah, because sometimes women, when they go on tour, to cut costs, they do it with somebody else. To cut costs and for safety,
Yeah.
they do it with somebody else. But that's a brothel. So like,
Even if it's not on a private property,
Yeah.
it's a brothel.
so
at
if
that
you
point.
get assaulted and you go to the police and be like, this is what happened, and they're like, oh, who else was there? And you say like another sex worker, you can get fucking done with that.
Yeah.
So it's like, it can be a lose-lose situation.
And from the sounds of it, a lot of the time, they will go with that rather than the assault.
Exactly. It's easier to prove.
Yeah.
Which
It's ticking boxes at
Yeah.
the end of the day, which is a whole other thing.
it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It really is. So like me, when I was stealthed, I did not go to the police or anything like that because I just felt like it wouldn't help.
Yeah.
And that I would be shamed rather than helped or anything like
Yeah.
that. Even though I had the guy's phone number and I knew what he looked like,
Mhm.
and I technically had his DNA,
Yeah.
I don't think I would be taken seriously.
Yeah. Like, the public's aware that so many people do not feel comfortable
Yeah.
reporting things to the police, which is
Exactly.
ridiculous. Like, they're
is.
that's their job. That's what they're there to
They're
do.
here to help us and make us safe and
Yeah.
everything like that. And instead, I feel like I'm going to be victimized in the ways of, oh, she deserved it. You seen what she was wearing? Oh, this is her job. Like, no, I don't want to be faced with that or anything. It's scary. It really is scary. Being a woman in general. And then, but yeah, like, it's one of those things where it's just like, this is why we haven't stopped.
Yeah.
Because we're scared to. Even if it is in the littlest of ways of feeling a certain way
Mm-hmm.
and being outed and doxxed.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, there's too many barriers in place. And I feel like that's yet again another thing that should be more of a focus than trying to get like the Nordic model in. You know, make
Well,
it safer
yeah.
for the people that are there. Look at what is causing the most harm.
Exactly.
Because it's the same with people that have been trafficked. They don't have confidence in the police.
Yeah.
And this is where the issue is lying, that people do not feel they are a resource they can turn to when illegal activities are happening against their will.
Exactly.
And that's the fucking issue here.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it's like, I'll give you a wee little example. So in Scotland, there is a stalker. There is a stalker who harasses sex workers, and he's been constant for what, at least 10 years?
Yeah.
5, something like that.
Yeah.
And he will dox. Like, he's doxed me before.
Yeah.
And I don't give a shit. I really don't. And I've said to him, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like, I've got nothing to hide.
Yeah.
Like, I've faced the police, the social work.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
It's no blackmail if you don't care.
Exactly, exactly. It's like, at some point, I am prepared to come out and be like, this is my real name and things like that. Because, like, I'm in the lifestyle community.
Yeah.
I tell people my name and things.
Yeah. It's not like some people have this very distinct separation between the two.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like this person has literal court cases against him.
Yeah.
And he carries on.
Yeah.
And restraining orders. And nothing, barely anything is getting done about him.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many reasons why this man should literally be put away.
Yeah.
Or, like, something should be done. He
Yeah.
shouldn't be getting away with doxing people, making people feel afraid, and putting, like, false reviews on, like, sites, like escort sites, profiles and things like that. It's ridiculous.
Just generally harassing people.
Yep. Absolutely. Right, so this is the end of part 1. Yeah, this is the end of part 1. I have been Paulson Victoria.
I have been Emilyson.
Yeah. Today we are going to a protest in Edinburgh for trying to stop the Nordic model and just getting a lot of attention towards it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have to dash.
Yeah, because we are busy fighting the good fight. So
Exactly. Yes.
very relevant.
Yeah.
I'm not going dressed as a bunny, but
yeah, it's like there's no bad women, just bad laws.
yeah, very true.
So
Very
yeah,
true.
that's the end of part 1. Uncensored Markets next week.
Is this
oh my
Sunday?
god, it's this week.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's this Sunday.
So if you've not got tickets, get them. Come along. You can
Yep.
meet me in person. You unfortunately can't attend, but
No, I cannot.
she will be there in spirit, and I will be there. So, but I will be busy, so I can say a quick hi.
Yeah.
But yeah. As always, there's a wee discount code for you guys. If you use Behind the Paddle at thesanctuaryofsin.com, you'll get a wee 10% discount off everything in store.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Right. Bye.
Bye.